Lone Star State. And folks, the show is about to start. They lined the Moody Center to see the Texas Longhorns, the #1 seed in Regional 4. High hopes for Texas. They locked up the Big 12 championship. They'll take on the 16 seed Drexel Dragons, champions out of the CAA. First time Texas has been a #1 seed since 30 wins this season under their fourth-year head coach, Vic Schaefer, there in the white. And Coach Schaefer is ready to get this run started as Madison Booker has the ball in her hands. Madison Booker, the freshman out of Ridgeland, Mississippi. A tremendous talent into Aaliyah Moore and quickly getting to work inside, like you said, Jimmy. As we take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by Capital One. Along with Amaris Baker, she's got to have some help. Hedda Satman is one of those players who steadies this group. Brooke Mullen as well. She got hot in the CAA tournament. They need more of that from her if they want to try to pull off this upset.
No doubt. I mean, Texas is going to hammer the ball inside the entire afternoon, and they're going to full court press and pressure the heck out of Drexel. Not afraid of Drexel beating them off the bounce.
Taylor Jones making it 4-0. She's a part of the starting lineup along with Shaylee Gonzalez and Shay Holly, a player who has just been such a consistent force, an extremely hard worker. And you see Amaris Baker with the ball in her hand. Here's Grace O'Neal over to Mullen looking for that shot inside, asking for it. Satman off the mark. And Holly comes up with the rebound.
Yeah, the ones you have to make. Drexel is really good at back screens, flare screens. If you can handle their action, very difficult for the team in blue to beat you off the bounce. Therefore, Texas climbing right up into the jerseys early.
Well, how about the run that Drexel had, the 7th seed in the CAA tournament? They played 4 games in 4 days to capture the conference tournament title, and they find themselves here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and 3 of those 4 wins were by 2 points or less. The first time that's happened in the past 25 years at the Division I level.
This group out of Philadelphia, the only school from the area in the tournament for the women. And pushed far outside, single digits on the shot clock. Brooke Mullen pulls up. It's short. Booker right into her hands. And for this Texas group, Big 12 tournament champions for the second time in the last 3 years, down Iowa State 70-53. What a swan song they had in the Big 12 before moving to the SEC next year. Shaylee Gonzalez fouled as Drexel picks up their first personal foul. Vic Schaefer making his 9th NCAA tournament appearance. But for this group here, he's in his 4th season with Texas. He feels like this group is really special. And what they were able to do in the absence of players is step up just like Shaylee Gonzalez had.
Yeah, if they get the 3-point shot falling with their dominant inside play, that's why they're at their best. And there you see the pressure is going to be relentless by Texas throughout this ball game. Drexel has to call a timeout.
Couple of steals for the Texas Longhorns. The last one forcing a timeout. A 9-0 run to open up this ball game. The NCAA Women's Championship. Let's check out how these teams are fueling the run. Brought to you by Wendy's for the Drexel Dragons as Amaris Baker gets on the board. Again, a 7 seed moving through the CAA tournament. Currently on a 7-game win streak entering today's game for Texas. Boy, they have been on the roll since the start of February.
This is a Drexel matchup zone, and it looks like they're switching everything like straight man, but they're not. And the problem with it, they're small across the back line, so they're very suspect, Drexel is, to those post touches.
And inside is where Texas has gone to work. They continue to share the basketball, well assisted on all 5 made buckets. Meanwhile, here's Hodges, and Chloe Hodges off the mark. Aaliyah Moore grabs the rebound. Happy to have her back into the lineup and healthy last year, 9 games in. She missed the rest of the season, but she's back in the interior presence right now for Texas, just overwhelming Drexel.
Yeah, just too much size out of Taylor Jones, a 5-star kid out of Dallas Christian High School, back in high school. Started her career at Oregon State. I actually recruited Taylor Jones from Texas when I was at Arkansas. Ever since the 8th or 9th grade, Tiffany, she's had great feet, great set of hands, terrific feel for the game, talking about 44 and 1.
Off the miss from Aaron Sweeney. You're watching it as Grace O'Neal off the mark. Chloe Hodges nearly had it, but into the hands of Shay Holly.
Drexel is going to have a good perimeter shooting game to have any chance in this thing, because they have no ability to go off the bounce and get Texas in foul trouble.
Here's Taylor Jones. You just mentioned her. Leaves that one short. For this Drexel club, feeling like because we can. That's what Amy Mallon said. She told her team that's what sparked that run for them. 7-game winning streak, and they've got to be able to hit shots on that end of the floor and come up with stops on defense.
Yeah, it is one and done right now so far for Drexel.
Coming in to try to save that one more, but Satman comes up with it. And here come the Dragons. Baker crossover the take to the hoop, and she's had success there.
Yeah, there's the one kid that Vic Schaefer said yesterday, I'm concerned about number 3. Everybody else we can really get up into and pressure. Talking about Amaris Baker, 5'8" junior, just a complete game as a small guard.
Well, she brings that Philly toughness. Here's Moore. Too strong.
Nice run game by Drexel. The good look ahead from Grace O'Neal. And after that timeout, Amy's kids have settled down. Exactly what you want to see in this NCAA tournament when you're the 16th seed for sure.
Well, just confusion there from Taylor Jones. She tosses it out of bounds. And Amina Muhammad checking in. There's Amy Mallon. Looking on, hoping this group can get something done. But off to a wonderful start for Vic Schaefer's group.
Yeah, no doubt. And Vic Schaefer is known for his absolute rugged pressure, man-to-man defense. It brought joy to me yesterday watching them in practice do an old school alley drill. And they stick their nose on your numbers and pressure the ball, pressure one pass away.
Welcome into the Moody Center here, the #1 seed and the Regional 4. The Texas Longhorns out to a commanding start. Drexel is the 16th seed coming out of the CAA. They tried to work their way back. Jimmy Dykes, Tiffany Green here with you. Vic Schaefer's group is poised to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, and his group's got 30 wins this season. They are a well-rounded bunch.
Yeah, they are, and there's great value in being a 1 seed when you consider the 1 seeds have won 31, making you make plays instead of run plays. And that's why they will be very difficult to handle in this women's championship.
In seasons past, when he's had success, he's been known as the Secretary of Defense, but he was quick to correct to say, hey, the reason for our success this year is because of our offense, one of the top scoring teams in Division I, and that's what's led to this 30-win season.
Yeah, think about it. They are averaging 112 points per 100 possessions. That's a really, really good number. And it all starts with that inside jackhammering the ball around the rim with those 6'4", 6'5" post players. But when the shots are falling from Shaylee Gonzalez and Shay Holly, this is why this team is really complete offensively. And we haven't talked a lot about Madison Booker so far, but she is the absolute engine right there, 35 in white. A true freshman that assumed the starting point guard duties after the injury to the starting point guard. And man, has she handled the transition with poise and grace. Complete play. And
you speak back to that December 27th injury to Rory Harmon. Since taking over the point guard just 3 days before conference play, she's put up 20 points per game in the absence of Rory Harmon. Second-team All-American and Big 12 player and freshman of the year is Madison Booker.
You've got to do something if you're Drexel to knock off this pressure, Tiffany. If you can't beat them off the bounce, you're going to have to set some ball screens, maybe some dribble handoff action. But Texas is going to try to blow all that stuff up. It's just a really uphill battle right now for Amy Mallon to find points.
Well, 3 in blue, Amaris Baker has been the scorer thus far. She's got 4 to 6 points for the Dragons. She steps on the out-of-bounds line, and it goes to the Texas Longhorns. Speaking of Rory Harmon, out for the season with a torn ACL. But she was off to a crazy good start for this season, and a player that they certainly missed, but her presence still very much felt on the bench. She is very much involved and a voice for this group.
Yeah, no doubt. Think about it. She's the Big 12 preseason player of the year and was the Big 12 defensive player of the year. And that's a huge loss that could eventually catch up with Texas on their chase to the Final Four.
Well, Gaston falls to the floor, and it's off the Longhorns. And this is Coach Harmon, as she's been dubbed. The graduate assistants Ryan and Mason gifted it to her shortly after the injury, and that's how she remains plugged in and locked into the game.
Yeah, I mean, she was very vocal yesterday in practice. Not just saying empty words, man. Her voice had meaning and trust and care behind what she was saying. I thought it was interesting. Vic Schaefer yesterday was not pleased with how his team practiced. He circled them up at the end and said, this is not how a 1 seed should be attacking this tournament the day before this tournament begins. And he knows he's got a chance to get there, but it's going to take absolute focus from every young lady involved.
Well, he knows exactly what it takes to get there, having made 2 national title game appearances in his previous stop at Mississippi State. The march to Cleveland begins now, and great defense from the Longhorns. Back the other way, Shea Holly getting in a little bit closer to Strong. Gaston, the Big 12 sixth player of the year, into the ball game. We were told she may not be available before today's game, but we see her on the court and her first 2 points.
Yeah, wasn't feeling well prior to tip, but what a tremendous backup post player. The 6th man of the year in the Big 12. She comes in physical at 6'2", plays bigger than her size, and again another pressure defender that Vic Schaefer puts on the floor.
Baker looking for a shot, pulls up, and it's true. Okay, 6 of the 8 points have come by way of Amaris Baker.
So far, she is the pressure release for this Drexel offense. A lot of pointing, a lot of talking, a lot of passing people off in this matchup zone. Amy Mallon believes in it because she played this matchup at Richmond. There's great value when you're coaching a defense that you played yourself.
Amina Muhammad tracking down the rebound. The mid-range from Booker won't go. Muhammad too strong. A lot of opportunities for the Texas Longhorns once again. And working the offensive glass. Again, the size advantage over. And then Gaston finally finishes off that possession.
But it took him 2 or 3 misses to get to that point. Vic Schaefer asked him yesterday, how do you get better right now within this tournament? He said, we've got to finish at a higher clip around the rim. Pretty good example of it on that last possession.
Brooke Mullen handling the ball. The niece of Chris
good pass.
Mullen into Aaron Sweeney, and Sweeney is fouled, the and 1, and she'll go to the free throw line.
Yeah, you mentioned the niece of Chris Mullen, one of the all-time great basketball players that we've had at the college level in the NBA. Brooke Mullen's got a tremendous feel for the game. There's value in her. She started on Villanova's Sweet 16 team before transferring to Drexel. Man, you mentioned Chris Mullen, Tiffany, an All-American at St. John's for Louis Carnesecca, 16 years in the NBA. Most of that with Golden State, a 5-time NBA All-Star. What a great basketball name here in Austin, Texas this afternoon.
Well, part of the offensive success of how Texas has been able to put up 81 points on average this season is because they like to go inside. So far, 14 points in the paint. There, a missed opportunity on the jump shot. It's going to be Drexel basketball.
Texas not afraid to run their dribble drive against that matchup because I think you attack a matchup zone like you do man-to-man. You've got to get people movement, ball movement. Don't be afraid to screen it. Run some set plays, but you cannot be stationary and guard yourself.
On the inbound, you see the full court pressure. Madison Booker giving chase. Drexel, who started 1 of 7, was 4 of 4 until that last shot and miss from Baker. Shaylee Gonzalez looking over. She's got a lot of time long, 2,000-point score. Long skip pass over to Booker. Time winding down. Got to look for a shot. Aaliyah Moore with the ball in her hands. 1 second to go on the shot clock. Puts it up.
Just go make a play, huh? Did not feel the Shot clock pressure. Aaliyah Moore is a difference maker. Vic uses her as that mismatch four. Man, is she hard to handle in that position.
Junior out of Moore, Oklahoma, second team all-conference selection in the Big 12.
Man, Drexel's got a shot fade. Get that pressure off. Back cut. Really well done. I mean, you talk about burning pressure off with a fast, purposeful back cut. Drexel just performed it well.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple of times on the offensive end for the Dragons. So after a roaring start from the Texas Longhorn, Drexel within 7 as the closing seconds of the opening quarter here from Austin.
Keep Texas off the offensive glass here if there's a miss.
There's Shaylee Gonzalez. The putback won't go. And 19-12 is how we will close the first 10 minutes of the USC and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Boy, we have got a full menu. We got every game covering you all the way to Cleveland. Boy, Caitlin Clark, and just what a phenomenal college women's basketball player she has been. Nation's leading scorer. She shows out in the biggest moments. And here, Amaris Baker is showing out. She has picked up 8 points for the Drexel Dragons, and all inside, all right around the rim.
Good job coming out of the timeout for a pressure release for your guard to break free. And Amy Mallon took a timeout about, 3 minutes into this game, has settled her kids down. And they're getting out in front of that Texas defense in transition. Just missed a couple of easy ones, though. The length of Texas bothering them.
Back the other way, there's Madison Booker. Rims it short. Gaston comes up with the offensive rebound. We talked about how solid of a rebounding team they are, especially on the offensive glass, just creating multiple opportunities on the offensive end.
So, Tiffany, what do you do against this Texas pressure? You've got to spread them out, and you've got to have some burn off the pressure plays. And Sweeney right here, 13 in blue. I mean, that's not an easy pass to make, about a 20-foot pass. And you got to throw strikes against this pressure. And this is what Drexel needs more of. And you're going to have to back cut it some, finish at the rim, spread it out. It will certainly help Drexel's cause if they can make a three. And Texas now has to spread out even more. That's the only way to offset that ball pressure.
Gaston knocks down the first of 2 free throws, as Amy Mallon saw her team down 13-2 at one point in this game. They've worked their way back. That backdoor cut certainly working for them. It's 21-14 now.
I know this. No team in the country had more fun at practice yesterday than the Drexel Dragons,
You're
right?
absolutely
they
right.
came in taking pictures, dancing, hyped up, really enjoying the moment. And this is a proud program. This is the second NCAA in the last 4 years. And they also went to a couple of WNITs in 2022 and 2023. They expect success in March. And I love that, visiting with Amy Mallon in terms of the vision she puts in front of her kids.
Well, she's been a part of all 3 now of their NCAA tournament appearances. The last time in 2021. She said it was much different because it was COVID during that time. So you didn't have the same type of feeling and atmosphere. She says, you better soak all of this up because this is special. Taylor Jones back into the ballgame. Remember, she got off to a hot start. She's got 6 points.
It is hard to single coverage if you're Drexel in this game against those posts. I talked about Taylor Jones. I recruited her for a couple of years. Offered her when she was coming out of the 8th grade. Has always had great high IQ, understanding of the game. Physical, tough, loves the game. A kid that is in that Texas workout facility, 6 a.m., just relentless in pursuit of what she wants to do.
Booker says no, ma'am. The rejection from Madison Booker, folks. She's a headliner. Texas is a big show here, but Madison Booker is the ticket of why you want to watch.
Tiffany, an AP second-team All-American as a freshman. And she had to adjust positions midway through the year from a small forward to a point.
Booker comes up with the rebound. Most outstanding player we mentioned of that Big 12 tournament. But you talk about that AP All-American, first freshman in UT history to earn that honor. Jackalenga Muantanda, who checked into the ball game a couple of minutes ago, she'll go to the line. And the accolades and the acknowledgments continue to roll in for Maddie Booker. I mean, Big 12 Player of the Year, shared that honor we mentioned already. Big 12 Freshman of the Year. If you're a coach, which one are you most proud of?
Well, the one that's not on there, humility. And she is loved by her teammates. And she loves the game. She has a huge personality. But you step in as a true freshman, and you rack up all those trophies, all those awards, all the smokes following you, and your teammates love you and the first ones that cheer for you. That says a ton about Madison Booker. And we haven't seen as a better freshman year in the women's game in a long, long time than what 35 in white has done for Vic Schaefer.
When you think about the first time in NCAA tournament history, there are multiple one seeds led by freshmen in points per game. Madison Booker, one of them. Juju Watkins, also another #1 seed with USC.
She is a pull-up star. Madison Booker is so strong and confident with that 15-foot pull-up shot.
Up ahead, Grace O'Neal finding Baker. Baker, who has had success. And Booker, who has been the star all season. 4 rebounds now, 5 assists.
Got it.
Second chance for Muhammad. It goes down.
But Tiffany, you see Vic Schaefer's concern as they progress throughout this tournament. They miss too many easy ones right at the rim.
Something they've got to look to shore up here. This Drexel group finding shots. Some of them just not going down. Madison Booker says, let's slow it down. Maddie Book, so many nicknames. I call her the truth just because of the way that she has handled this freshman season. Amina Muhammad, back-to-back buckets for the sophomore.
Yeah, Texas just bigger, more physical at all 5 spots. And Vic Schaefer can invert his offense. And not just the post kids that he'll throw post-ups to. I mean, Drexel, they're getting 1 shot, and that is it. Nothing at all on the offensive glass. Small team, they got to shoot lights out to stay in this game.
Aaron Sweeney with an open look. Tanda comes up with the rebound. Texas currently on a 10-0 run as they've stretched this lead out.
Madison Booker looks gassed right now.
Yes.
And part of her adjustment to the point guard was the conditioning. Not only the physical fatigue, but the mental fatigue of all the things that a point guard has to do. And man, has she grown well in those areas.
Coming up with the rebound is Jasmine Valentine. Grace O'Neal, the sophomore point guard for the Dragons, looking ahead. Valentine, shot fake. Going into the hoop too strong. Yeah. Maddie shared with us, hey, look, I had to adjust to this new position, but I had to think about how I'm going to play, how I'm going to set up my teammates, how they play, where they like the ball.
There you go. Really good job by Taylor Jones to show a target hand. Showed the passer, told the passer without vocalizing, this is exactly where I want the ball. So that pass, what does it do, Tiffany? It leads a post player right to the right side, the ability to use the glass. Show the target hand, bam, deliver, lead me to the glass for Texas. If the game stays the pace that Texas wants to play and they can hammer you inside, they're a real problem. They could be suspect to a fast up and down type game, we shall see. But I love the excitement for Texas. They understand, I said it earlier, Tiffany, the 1 seeds have won 31 of the 41 NCAA tournaments. That's why you're so excited. You know, man, that bracket's got a chance to fall our way when you get that 1 seed. South Carolina, Iowa, Texas, and Southern Cal right now in really good shape in this women's tournament.
South Carolina currently in action now. We'll obviously see Iowa tomorrow. And coming out, and that breaks a cold spell for the Dragons. They had missed their last 8 shots, but it goes down for Grace O'Neal.
Yeah, when you struggle in the half court, you've got to score off of your defense, get out and run. Drexel's done it a couple of times. And can you find points off those special set situations out of bounds?
Well, the high hands for Taylor Jones, the offensive rebound, and she's fouled on that putback. She'll shoot a couple. 11 O-boards for the Longhorns thus far.
Well, think about it. On the year, Texas has gotten 42% on the offensive glass. So for every 100 shots they miss, they get 42 of them back. That's a very high percentage. Part of that, though, is also tied to the number of shots they miss around the rim. They're getting second and third opportunities, and boys, you advance in this tournament, you got to make those first ones against the toughest teams out there.
Well, Jones, who leads all scorers on the court now with 10 points. And to that point, we talked about the 8-second chance point opportunities for the Texas Longhorns.
Drexel being pushed out so far trying to run their offense. Can't even get inside that three-point line.
Tough pass to handle. Lane McGurk, the true freshman, looking where to go, picks up her dribble, and it's going to be a shot clock violation for the Dragons.
Tippy, it's so tough in basketball when you can't win your battle one-on-one and blow by that pressure. And Amy Mallon knew it yesterday. She said we're going to have to be really good with our screen game, our flares, our pin downs, all the stuff that we trust in our five-out offense. It has to click, and when it doesn't, the pressure just eats them up.
Outside of the obvious, Jimmy, here, the interior and the inside points for Texas. What's worked for them offensively as an offensive foul is going to be called against Amina Muhammad?
Well, the best friend that Texas has in their half-court offense is ball reversal, because what that does, now those post players can pin and blow people up and get an angle to score with on the inside. They've been good at it so far in this game, but the ball reversal is Texas's friend this entire tournament. Should be.
The 16th seed Drexel team has got some work to do. They got within 7 points, but since then, Texas has overwhelmed them in this second quarter, outscoring them 14-4. Another deep into the shot clock. And a turnover for Drexel. For the fourth straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships.
You mentioned Caitlin Clark earlier. 96 threes she's made this year from 25 feet or beyond. 96 from 25 feet or beyond.
When you keep her shot chart, she just loves it inside. I mean, outside.
Yeah.
And the deeper that she can go, the better.
Yeah, and the left side of the floor really favors her numbers on Synergy, but she is must-watch TV this month.
No doubt. Division I record for most points in the season, 18 for the D1 record. And that one flipped up by Shaylee Gonzalez.
Tiffany, I've coached against this Vic Schaefer pressure. It's the real deal. And if you don't have guards that can go by and knock that pressure off or run some burn cuts to back cut it, life can become really, really difficult. And he lost his best defender in Rory Harmon. I mean, she was the all Big 12 defensive player that really put heat on the ball. But overall, that ball pressure is still there.
169 assists now for Madison Booker on that inbounds play. And that's second most in program history behind the aforementioned Rory Harmon. For a freshman, might I add. Good look there at Aaliyah Moore. Remember, missed most of last season with an injury, coming off a terrific Big 12 tournament, averaging just about 11 points a game, but she upped it in the championship at 14 against Iowa State. And too tall for Taylor Jones, his last touch by the Longhorns.
Upsets already happening in the women's NCAA championship. Middle Tennessee State, an 11 seed, takes down the 6 seed Louisville.
How about Rick Ensel's group out of Conference USA? Savannah Wheeler powers that group for the Blue Raiders. But this is what this time of year produces, right? The magic. You want to be playing your best basketball at the right time of the year. And nice take to the hoop from Jasmine Valentine.
Yeah, Valentine just pulled Taylor away from the basket and a little bit of shot fake and got a drive angle. This time of the year, if you don't play your best, you will get knocked out. And we've seen it on the men's side. We've seen it on the women's side. We've only had one number 1 seed ever lose in the opening round to a 16.
That happened to Stanford back in 1998 as Madison Booker strokes it true.
You would never guess that she's a freshman by the pace that she plays. Always in complete control of her game on both ends.
And in talking with her, Jimmy, it's just the poise, right? There's a self-assuredness that you saw with her. There was a confidence that she had, but it never came off cocky. And the players, her teammates, have really gravitated to her, and honestly, somewhat in awe of what she's been able to do in her freshman season.
No doubt. I mean, 35 in white, if I described her, I would say she's the type of kid that it's not about me. And as good as she is, and the rising superstar that she is, nothing about her game, nothing about visiting with her, nothing about her personality on or off the floor makes it about herself. And those type of leaders have the ability to lift a team up to another level that they're probably not capable of reaching.
Well, coming up at halftime, Dove in the studio will have highlights from earlier today, documenting obviously that Middle Tennessee State upset over Louisville, along with Caitlin Clark and how she's preparing for her final tournament. She's declared entry into the WNBA draft coming up, and obviously folks in the Midwest certainly excited as Indiana, the #1 pick.
Yeah, you look at some of those kids that are in their last NCAA tournament. Caitlin Clark, Rakia Jackson at Tennessee, Cameron Brink at Stanford. One of the all-time great defenders in the women's game, I think 3 times in a row, right? The Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. They will make the most of their last opportunity. Be very difficult to knock those kids and those teams out of this tournament.
Stanford coming in as a 2C, both Brink and Kiki.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Grace O'Neal says, yeah, I can do that. Just give me a chance. Just give me an opportunity, and I can make something happen.
The arch on that shot almost hit the rafters of a beautiful Moody Center.
Beautiful indeed. $375 million put into this facility, an all-purpose facility.
How much? Back in $375 million?
That's what I have written down.
Not surprising, but
maybe I'm missing a period there, but I think I saw 375.
Look at the arch on this shot. When you're a small guard against size, you got to do something sometimes just to get it off. But my first time to be in this arena, and I will be in here a lot with the Texas joining the SEC starting next year. But man, they knocked it out of the park. I love how the top part has big, I don't know if they're screens that they can retract for concerts and almost double the size. That's what we're looking at right there. For basketball, they close those things off and make it a very intimate, loud facility. One of the better ones I've seen right now in college basketball. Really well done. Premier venue indeed. Go back in 2019, and meanwhile down the street they're tearing down the Irwin Center. Yes, they are. Great memories in there. The Irwin Center, when I played for Arkansas, we hit a half-court shot at the buzzer to beat Louisville to advance us to the Sweet 16. One of the great memories I had as a player in the NCAA tournament just down the street.
You learn new things every time. Yes. I learn new things about your partner every time. I just enjoy it. I love it. I would have loved to have seen your celebration though, because I heard you're a great dancer. You know.
You put on some old school Commodores, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You think the building's hot now?
The Elements will see how Book can cook before the end of the half, and it rolls out. But a convincing start to this one for the #1 seed Texas Longhorns. They've got a 20-point advantage halftime here in Austin. And it's time now for the halftime report. The most reliable team brought to you by Xfinity.
Well, Madison Booker is the DNA of this program, and she controls the pace as a passer, as a finisher, but it's all about hammering the ball inside. And Texas right now, they are playing to their strength, and you see why they have played their way into a 1 seed and how important that is. Just the relentless pressure defensively has really jumped out. I knew it would from playing against Vic Schaefer as a coach, and just Drexel just really no answer for that pressure.
And how did you defend it? What did you do at your time when you were at Arkansas coaching the women?
Yeah, well, I did have some guards that could go by you a little bit, which helped us. I will say this about Drexel, Tiffany. They are very well coached. They run good stuff. They spread you out, and they run good action. They just have been covered up by a bigger, faster, more physical defender out of the Big 12. And Amy's watching her club yesterday and today. They execute well. They know exactly who they are as a team. They just are being outmanned right now at every position.
On the inbound, Booker finds Aaliyah Moore. The defender falls down. It won't go. And those gimmies right around the rim, you touched on it earlier. That's going to be a point of emphasis moving forward as Texas tries to make this deep run.
Yeah, coaches know where they're vulnerable. And that's the first thing Vic said yesterday. We've got to be better finishers at the rim. Our ball screen defense at times still has to sharpen up and tighten up as we move throughout this tournament. And he wants balanced scoring more so than they've had in the last month.
Nearly the identical play back into Moore once again. Can't finish there. Fouled. No shot. Or not fouled on the shot, rather. So another inbound play for the Texas Longhorns. That personal foul going against Hedda Satman for the Drexel Dragons. That's her third. Taylor Jones runs into a couple of blue jerseys as she turns into the lane. And Texas will get the ball back. 16 seconds to go on the shot clock.
Yeah, Texas they have not relied on the three-point shot all year long. Interesting to have that efficient of an offense. There you go.
From the left side, it works for Aaliyah Moore.
Really good job of little simple screening action, but Texas only makes 4 three-point shots a game. That's incredibly low for the number of points they score per 100 possessions. They are so good getting fouled, controlling the glass, controlling those paint touches, the post-ups. And that inbounds play, just good action. You got Taylor Jones posted up, kind of a decoy on the ball side. Just a little slip. Good job by Moore to slip right in front to the left side.
Going inside, and that one's blocked by Shaylee Gonzalez. Madison pushing back the other way, inside to Taylor Jones, and a foul by Chloe Hodges. Well, they have looked for 44 in white all game long. She's had success, and that's not a sign you want to see as Aaliyah Moore is walking back to the locker room.
No, not at all. And then before the season, just 9 games last year before a season injury, ACL, and she has really fought through the mental part of bouncing back from an ACL. Not good news to see already a team that's not at full strength with a loss of a stud and a star in Roy Harmon at the point guard spot. You want to be hot, you want to be healthy and hungry this time of the year in the NCAA tournament.
So on the floor, Amina Muhammad in for Aaliyah Moore. Grace O'Neal, smallest on the court, but boy, does she have a ton of heart. You see her right shoulder, battled an injury during the season. But we were going through this Drexel team and learning more about them. Grace O'Neal stands at 5'7", but is the team's leading rebounder.
Isn't that something? That tells you the heart and the Valentine that kid plays with. I mean, how often do you see your small 5'7" guard lead you with 171 rebounds? But Colonial all-rookie team a year ago. She's the youngest player they put on the floor for the most part, the smallest player, but and she jumps out with the energy and the fight that she plays with. Talking about 12 in blue at the top of your screen.
A deep three from Brooke Mullen, almost was mirroring her uncle if that one would have gone in. Front iron, back the other way. Shaylee Gonzalez off the bounce pass from Booker. And Maddie Book, who has been great today. She's got now 9 assists on the afternoon.
Mullen trying to go Jack Golke from last night from Oakland, right? Jack Golke made 10 threes against Kentucky, 10 out of 20 on the men's side. He only dribbled 4 times to make those 10 threes. You talk about coming off and catching and shooting with a purpose. Man, that mirrors what we see from Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. He is the Caitlin Clark of the men's game.
Oakland upsetting Kentucky last night. Meanwhile, Taylor Jones continuing to go to work inside. 13 points, better than 50% from the floor for Jones.
Just keep the game simple if you're Texas. There's no reason to do anything else but continue to take advantage of your size and your skill that you got on the interior.
Sweeney picks up her dribble. Muhammad in her face. They moved the ball around. Amaris Baker, who had 8 points in that first half, finding Satman, and Satman knocks it down. Look, the Dragons only knocked down about 4.5 threes a game, so not a three-point shooting team either, but the first of the game for Drexel.
Yeah, good job to make a shrink three. What I mean by that, Drexel made that Texas defense shrink to the ball, then the kick out. Got a closeout from the post player, and that's what Satman can do for Drexel.
The answer on the other end from Shaylee Gonzalez. Boy, she's used to doing that, more than 2,000 points in her career. And Gonzalez knocks it down. She's a 30% three-point shooter.
Yeah, Tiffany, when she's on, talking about two and white, Texas can play and beat anyone in this tournament. And her ability to shoot the ball at a 36-37% clip, along with Shea Hollyman, that changes Texas offensively.
Stolen away. Holly wasn't expecting the pass from Gonzalez. Well, let's go back to Shaylee Gonzalez and how she can knock it down when you give her an opportunity.
Well, 2 years ago, she was the West Coast Conference Player of the Year at BYU and suffered an ACL injury at BYU, but she transferred because she wanted to win titles. And Texas with a 1 seed right now, that is all in front of her.
Short off the Booker miss. And Shea Holly getting a hand on it. A player that we haven't talked a whole lot about. You've heard her name, 10 and white, the senior out of Austin, Texas, all defensive team in the Big 12. And she is one of the top perimeter defenders. You talked about Rory Harmon going down. Shea Holly stepped into that role to be one of those premier defenders. And
an absolute local star. She's from Westlake High School here in Austin, Texas. Her dad, Eric, played football at UT as a defensive end, then played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Young lady already has her business degree, working on her master's. And Vic was so proud of her to be named to that Big 12 all-defensive team. Big-time athlete. Was a high school stud, star track athlete as well.
And a dream to play for the Texas Longhorns. Got her opportunity. What a great story as she worked her way through. Taylor Jones working through a couple of bodies. And one.
That time she just absolutely played right through the contact. Now this is a small front line for Drexel, but it gives you an idea of what Taylor Jones can do. Very patient and right there, man, getting those shoulders whipped around quickly, getting squared up before the release. I've known her for a long time, spent a lot of hours on the phone talking to her and her sister Tori and Carly when I was recruiting them. She has always had a great, great love for the game.
Out of the Dallas area, Forney, Texas, as Taylor Jones is having herself a great opening round game with 16 points. The pull up from O'Neal, no good. And Jones comes up with the rebound.
Look up South Carolina, no problems today with Presbyterian, 91-39. And this is the second time they've met this year, Tiff. I'm almost positive South Carolina won the first matchup 99-29. So Presbyterian has cut into it a little bit.
The #1 overall seed, South Carolina, making their 12th straight appearance, entering undefeated, the only team on the men's or women's side in Division I. And Dawn Staley and her crew will move on to the second round. And Gonzalez, a couple of threes in this quarter, and that forces the Drexel Dragons to call a timeout.
That changes Texas in this tournament. We know how highest qualities you can have. She only had 3 days of preparation when Roy Harmon went down, and Vic Schaefer said, I'm putting the ball in your hands, young lady, and you're going to be that lead guard for us throughout the entire Big 12. And man, has she blossomed. Now, she did tell us yesterday she had a couple of weeks in preseason where Rory was out, and she got a lot of run at the point guard spot, so she had some time, but boy, not like the pressure that comes to the game.
And there on the defensive end, coming up with the block, is Maddy Booker. Shaylee Gonzalez stepping in a little bit closer, along two.
Very confident. I said going to break, that outside shot of Texas changes them. Because if you have to come out and respect those shooters, now that inside one-on-one game, the dominant part of Texas offense, so hard to cover. If you just watch still, it's a 60-23 game. The ball pressure is relentless. The next pass away denial is relentless at all 5 spots. A defensive clinic right now in the first round from Austin.
And of course, more action underway in that bracket tomorrow between Oklahoma, Florida Gulf Coast, and among others. But when you think about Dawn Staley and the job that she's done, chasing perfection.
Yep.
This has been a season that maybe didn't start out with the expectation of getting to this point to be undefeated. You graduate all of your starters, and then you have an experienced bunch come in with some experience, but you change your whole starting lineup, and yet you see nothing fall off.
National Coach of the Year, I would say. When you lose all 5 starters, and Aaliyah Boston's one of them, and you find yourself at 33-0 right now, still chasing perfection, the second year in a row South Carolina entered the NCAA tournament unbeaten. We may not see that ever happen again, to lose your entire starting 5 and then rattle off 32 straight wins again the next season. That's a phenomenal coaching job by Dawn Staley, and I've been around her several times this year covering those men's games in the SEC, and they are locked in, laser focused, ready to try to cut down another national championship. I believe they've got everything you have to do it.
And when you look at them, they're the top left-hand side of your bracket as Shaylee Gonzalez just seemingly can't miss from 3-point range. Gonzalez now 4 of 5 from beyond the arc. The question is, who will challenge South Carolina on their side of the bracket? You got Notre Dame. We could potentially see that one as the rounds move through.
Yeah, Notre Dame, Oregon, the Pac-12 with several teams in those 1 through 4 seeds. But this is, to me, this tournament's all about South Carolina. If they are at their best and they stay injury-free, to me, this tournament is theirs to win. They look different to me than everybody else in the college game right now on the women's side. And Dawn Staley, when they got knocked out last year, she went right back to work. Think about this. The last time that South Carolina lost a regular season game, December of 2021. That's how dominant they have been.
Oh, my God! Speaking of domination, dominant on the boards have been the Texas Longhorns. And Deanna Gasson, the 6th player of the year in the Big 12. She's come off the bench and done what she's done most of the season. 11 points, 9 rebounds, and then great defense back the other way.
And Tiffany, that has 0 to do with the lack of fight for Drexel. Drexel's playing as hard as they can play. They are outsized and out-physical at all 5 spots on the floor in this game. I said it earlier, Drexel's very well coached. They know exactly what they're doing defensively. Offensively, they run great stuff. They've just been covered up by Big 12 athletes the entire game. Nice. Really nice to win the foot race to the ball and to finish with the right paw on the left side. Those guards now, they've got another gear, and Vic Schaefer, Shaylee Gonzalez and Shay Hawley, they play 37, 38 minutes. Very difficult to take them off the floor.
McGurk, turnaround jumper. And McGurk with a couple of quick buckets for the Dragons. You think about the type of pressure, full court, and the defense that kind of just is in your face. To be able to play and log those kinds of minutes, you've got to be in great condition.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I believe Shay Hawley ran a 5:20 mile in the preseason conditioning. That's a pretty good clip. And she could have ran college track, Shay Hawley, as a sophomore in high school. As a former high school track coach, I know good time. She was in the high 25s for the 200. So if she would have chosen track as her sport, Shay Hawley probably could have been a track athlete, but the love of basketball took over.
So wait a minute, Jimmy, let me get this right. A track coach, a basketball coach, and you could have also been on, so you could dance?
I don't know about that. I tried to make it as a country music singer at one point in my life.
Goodness, well, look, you're in the right city, right? Like Austin or Nashville?
Yeah, I'm sitting here by you. It tells you how good that went. Wow,
yeah.
Nice.
That one went well off the fingertips of Brooke Mullen. Look, she hit 4 threes in that championship game against Stony Brook.
And she had 90 starts for 4 years at Villanova prior to Drexel. We talked about her uncle in the first half, Chris Mullen. Basketball is a big part of that family. I love to start the story from Drexel. In 1983, Tiffany, Drexel was the first university in the United States to require all undergraduates to adapt to the microcomputer for all their classwork. And Drexel provided every student with a Macintosh 128.
Ooh.
And then they went on, Drexel did, to become the first fully wireless campus in the year 2000.
You did your homework, my man. I love that. I'm all about that. Well, now that explains why they have, strong business program,
Absolutely.
Engineering program. So that makes sense.
Do you know what a Macintosh 128 looks like?
I don't know what it looks like, but I know what Macintosh is.
It was probably heavy back in the day. The first one to lug those things around campus. There's a lot of cool things about Drexel. The only school out of Philadelphia, men's or women's, to be in the NCAA tournament. That's a prideful city when it comes to college basketball.
I'll say this. Amy Mallon, who has been at Drexel for 20 seasons, she was on staff there with Denise Dillon, who is now the head coach at Villanova. But when they coached together, they brought in a winning tradition and program. We talked about their NCAA debut in 2009. They made it back to the tournament in 2021. And now here, Amy Mallon is leading the way in this 2024 appearance for this group. And they're doing it without Keishana Washington, a player who was an All-American in WBCA, someone who was just absolutely terrific, but she speaks to passing down the love, the knowledge of the game, but also sharing it for Drexel basketball.
Well, you come in as a 16 seed, you know what you're up against, especially when you're facing the physicality and the size of Texas, and still the joy that you have when you're playing in the NCAA tournament, the memories. I mean, Amy talked about it with us yesterday, the number of times she got to play in this tournament. And she made a great point. There are a lot of great players and great coaches that have never had the blessing, as she put it, to be on the big stage like they are on today. And she never takes it for granted. But I asked her, I said, how much value is there in Drexel right now, going to the NCAA twice in the last 4 years, playing in the WNIT? When you go into the portal, you talk recruiting, that's a big deal. You want to win at that colonial level, go to Drexel. That's her message, and I love it.
Yeah, Amy Mallon was just so fired up. We talked about the energy that we saw in their practice yesterday and just being where your feet are planted. And that's exactly what this Drexel group has done. Grateful for the opportunity to be here. And they worked hard to get here. As Booker gets on the floor, but back into the hands of the Dragons, and Amaris Baker is fouled with 2.1 seconds left on the clock.
Have you ever been where your feet aren't planted?
Yeah, I may be there, but my mind may have been somewhere else, you know? So you got to soak up that moment. McGurk, double clutch. And that brings us to the close of the third quarter. And it's been all Texas here. Yeah. And most assists in a tourney game in program history as well. So quite impressive. And Shaylee Gonzalez, who has the ball in her hands, had 3 points in that first half. She's lit it up here in the second half with 15 in 3 plus maybe a couple seconds.
Yep. We've seen several possessions of that dribble drive offense. That's 5 out of 6 now for Shaylee Gonzalez. But that dribble drive offense, a staple under Vic Schaefer. Gets that ball going side to side. Therefore, you can get post-ups on the inside and get the defense playing out of closeouts.
She's responsible for all 5 threes for the Longhorns tonight, or this afternoon.
One of the few kids active right now in the women's game that has over 2,000 career points. And I said it, I think, in the first half. When Shaylee Gonzalez is on, Texas can beat anyone in this tournament, including South Carolina.
That one bounces in for Chloe Hodges, but you go back to Shaylee Gonzalez, 21 points, ties her season high, and currently 7th among NCAA active career scoring leaders. She can go off in bunches. Jock back over to Gonzalez. Gaston looking inside. And adding 5 makes the bucket.
Just time and time again, those post players for Texas posting up with a purpose, getting their body right in front of the rim, winning the battle from the waist down. As a post player, Tiffany, you score from the waist down, and you finish with your hands around the rim. But that scoring is all about winning the foot fight, and Texas has won it time and time again.
McGurk step back 3. Holly back in the ball game. Gaston temporarily loses the handle, gets it back. Hattie 5 going forward and into the hands of Lane McGurk. Out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. And there's Aaron Sweeney. And Hodges once more active around the basket. Comes up with the rebound and is fouled. The Aussie who advanced to the all-tournament team during that run to the CAA championship. Well, Shaylee Gonzalez will go to the bench. A big round of applause here. 18 of her 21 points have come in the second half.
If Texas is going to advance to the Final Four, she doesn't have to make 5 out of 6 threes per game, but she's got to shoot at a high clip. Texas has to drag that defense out.
For the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to the NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships for the March to Cleveland. And the Final Four beginning Friday, April 5th. We've got you covered all the way. And how do you like to consume games? On what devices? I'm a phone gal, but some people like to pull up their tablets or their laptop in addition to the TV.
See this iPhone that I still have that they don't even make anymore?
Right. Is it like an iPhone, what, 7?
It's a 7. But that dude can watch games as well as anything out there. I can't get away from that right there.
Smart, but you can't do the multi-viewing there.
I took it in to trade up to get a better model, and the guy said, we don't even make these anymore. What model is this?
Temporary stoppage in play, and we're back to it. Grace O'Neal, and she's fouled on the tape. For our officiating crew, Eric Burton, Kim Hobbs, and Nick Capel, who have done a mighty fine job here this afternoon.
Yeah, they get graded in advance in this tournament, just like teams. How important was Grace O'Neal to that Colonial Athletic Association tournament run? I mean, she was playing 35 minutes a game over that past 7-game win streak coming in. Just a tough, durable kid, just a sophomore. A really good piece for Amy Mallon going forward.
When you think about the future for the Dragons, an important piece you mentioned, I mean, she's a player that coach says can take control when she's on the court.
Vic has time and time again screened the top of that matchup zone. And there the screen is set, results in a high-low play. And it's been unstoppable for Drexel the entire game just because of the size they're dealing with.
And the senior out of Pearland, Texas, Gaston going towards the way of Rory Harmon. And you see protecting a crown jewel in Rory Harmon, as Vic Schaefer saying, okay, let's make sure you get out of the way. We want to make sure you continue to heal.
I like those Texas burnt orange slacks that Coach Vic is wearing today, right?
Yeah. Sporty. Sporty indeed. I mean, an Austin native, nearly coaching for 40 years. They got themselves a top-tier coach. The Texas AD, Chris Del Conte, said, we wanted someone of his pedigree to come in and take over. And what a fine job that he's done. And when you watch him, you understand in his coaching style, very passionate, demanding. But as Del Conte says, not demeaning. He wants the best out of his players, and he loves on them.
You know, his daughter, Blair Schaefer, now an assistant coach on the staff as well. And we talked about the Mullen family in basketball. The name of Schaefer, awfully strong as well. The recruiting roots that Vic has in this state. And talking to him yesterday about his daughter, he said, you know what, I challenged Blair when she became a full-time assistant. You have to be able to recruit at this level. I don't need any help, coach. I need someone who can go out and continue to get me the high-level players. And Blair has knocked it out of the park as a young recruiter at the highest level.
Indeed. I mean, you think about Blair Schaefer in her career at Mississippi State, played for her father, and was thinking about giving up basketball, but what did she do? She went to work. She went to work and turned herself into one of the best defenders on the floor in addition to her sharp shooting.
You know what? She was also a really good game analyst on the SEC Network when she first finished playing. After a couple of years of that, though, she talked with Dad and said, I feel like I have more to give the game than what I'm doing. And a really hard worker. She had the scout of Drexel yesterday and was completely on top of the play calls and the guy practice players, and a lot of trust and a lot of pressure when your daughter's on staff, and she has handled it well.
Blair Schaefer, along with Lindsay Wisden-Hilton and Elena Lovato, the associate head coach, round out that staff for this Texas team.
Now 28 of their 38 wins this year have been by double digits. Texas averaging plus 23 points in their scoring margin. That's the sign of a team that can make the Final Four run. They hammer people. And they're doing it today to Drexel. They've done it to a lot of teams this year. And think about the strength of the SEC next year when you add Texas, a #1 seed, and Oklahoma, who won the Big 12 regular season title. Correct. Those two teams go to an already loaded SEC.
Oklahoma, they're part of the bracket with South Carolina, a 5 seed coming in. They'll get an action tomorrow, the Sooners. This Texas team entering the tournament won 12 of their last 13 games, and you can see why and how they've been so successful, as a couple of shots on the goal and nothing coming up. The dominance that you've seen inside, close to 50% of their points coming inside in the paint. Tonight, or this afternoon, they've got 44 paint points.
Wow, from the logo.
Well, dialing up from the 215.
From the right horn of the Longhorn.
All smiles there from Brooke
awesome.
Mullins. Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That's one way to knock the pressure off. Just shoot it over you. I love the story that Drexel, they actually won their conference tournament on Selection Sunday. So they hop on the bus, and on the way home, they stop to see where they were heading as a 16 seed. And just the joy that goes with that.
So they had a party. That bus was rocking once they got back on.
Hey, they're still having fun. I love their last time out. There are a lot of smiles over there, some laughs going on. They knew what they were up against today, but man, they have made the most of their time. That's why I'm in big favor of, if we expand the men's or the women's tournament, don't do it at the expense of keeping teams out like Drexel. Just the memories that these kids have from this experience is something you can't put a price on. And the Drexel Dragons are always, when it's tougher outs in their conference, always one of the better defensive squads. Said multiple times how well coached they are. Just too much Texas today in Austin.
Nice up and under from Chloe Hodges. And I love one of the things that Amy Mallon talked about, because we can. That's something that she wrote on the chalkboard or the whiteboard. They adopted late in the season. Somewhere around March, they started to believe that, they could win. That's what fueled them to their 6 straight wins, their 3rd conference title. And after that championship, she said, because we did. We can, and then we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, she's a very competitive head coach, and she was a heck of a player. She played at Richmond and I think 2 NCAA tournaments when she was a player for the Spiders. Then she transferred to St. Joe's her senior year. Amy Mallon was the A-10 Player of the Year and an honorable mention All-American. And actually, Tiffany, I believe in 2002, Amy Mallon was inducted in the Big 5 Women's Hall of Fame for the best players in that Philadelphia area. So a lot of pride as Vic Schaefer starts to empty his bench.
And what a special moment here, the applause. Sarah Graves, the sophomore, coming in. Her 2nd game of the season, just 3rd of her career. And a player who has been dedicated, a walk-on, earned a scholarship this season. as Grace O'Neal launches it. No good.
But knowing Vic Schaefer, she'll be held responsible for the last 3 minutes on this film for what she does defensively. I mean, he was on her yesterday, knowing that she would, if she played, it'd only be for 2 or 3 minutes. And he was on her yesterday for not being in the right spot on the defensive end. That DNA is true. It's the common thread for Vic Schaefer's best teams year after year after year.
Well, this was the game earlier in the season, the last couple of minutes against UT Rio Grande Valley. She knocks down a couple of threes, and look how the bench erupts after those 2 makes.
Yeah, they are a very close unit. And you love to see kids that are there every day in practice, showing up, great teammates, great locker room kids, get a chance to knock one down with a game uniform on.
And Graves was just about ready to shoot it. She ran into the defender. She's going to inbound it. Here on the sideline is Graves, who came into the gym, talked about the work ethic that she had. Came in over the summer with Rory Harmon, put in a lot of time. And it was a contagious kind of feeling. And he said, give it back to her. Coach Schaefer pointing back her way.
Tiffany, she has played a total of 5 minutes and 43 seconds on the year. She's 2 out of 2 from the three-point line. If I'm Sarah Graves, I'm having a meeting with Coach afterwards saying, I produce when I get my 5 minutes.
Gisela Maul with the ball in her hands, taking her time. Single digits on the shot clock. Muantanda off the mark there. It's all about making the most of your opportunities, right?
Yeah, you know, if you're a 1 seed on your home floor, you're supposed to win the game by 40 or 50 against a 16 seed. And that's exactly what Texas has done this afternoon. It all starts with the size and the physicality. Just jumped off at me yesterday when they walked out to practice. I was like, whoa, are they a physical, long, tall team at every position? And the defensive intensity, the pressure is just relentless. And no matter if they play the winner of Alabama or Florida State, whoever wins that game coming up next is going to have to deal with the ball pressure and the one pass away pressure and the size that Texas is going to throw at them.
They are indeed Texas tough. They've got a grit and a competitive spirit about them that's just off the charts. And that mirrors their head coach. Drexel spins the timeout here. 1:28 remaining in this ball game. Well, you think about how convincing you want to be able to win games. We said South Carolina handled business against Presbyterian earlier today. Iowa in action tomorrow against Holy Cross over on ABC at 3 p.m. We'll also see Jackson State taking on a 3-seed UConn as well over on ABC. And the Texas fans are pumped up. Let's talk about the atmosphere in here. We mentioned it before. It's been loud. This has been rowdy. We saw them line up before, but the support for the Horns has been terrific.
Here's what's great about it. Vic Schaefer, personally, we were told, bought 100 tickets for Texas students to use today. And that's just a guy that gets it. You know, he understands the big picture. And then Michael Huff, a former Texas football player, found out about it and also purchased 200. So 300 tickets were bought between Vic Schaefer and Michael Huff today that were used by the student section. And this building, very full on a Friday afternoon. I expect it to be just as, if not more, on Sunday when Texas is playing in that second round.
You talk about how Coach Schaefer gets it. I mean, he's a beloved figure around these parts and in the sports section of the Austin American Statesman. Got a front page article. He made front page news. Big fisherman. He says, I don't fish. I go catching.
He's a catcher, not a fisher.
And boy, has he caught some of the best talent in the country.
I just want Graves to get one off. I got a feeling it'll go in if she gets an opportunity. 25 and white in his far corner.
I think everyone else is expecting or anticipating that here as well. We'll just lay out for the reaction if it
You're
does
hoping,
happen.
right?
Yeah. champions out of the CAA not giving up, showing great fight as we talked about. 5 seniors for that group. Aaron Doherty, Brooke Mullen, Hedda Satman, Jasmine Valentine, Aaron Sweeney for the Drexel Dragons. And Aaron Doherty, who's at the free throw line, is one of those seniors I just mentioned, and a couple of NCAA tournament runs throughout their careers. They faced Georgia back in that first round in 2021, but here the #1 seed in Region 4.
I'm really impressed with the joy that Drexel has continued to play with in this game. They got doubled up on the scoreboard, but they continued to fight, play hard. They ran their stuff. They never broke apart. They stayed together. They've enjoyed the moment. I mean, some of the special times in March, we can get easy locked in on the teams that win. The teams that lose, man, they have earned their way here. And great memories for this team out of Philadelphia to come to Austin for a couple of days and have the experience of this women's championship. Well done by Drexel.
Their coach reminded them to just embrace this pressure and be in this moment. Maris Baker, who got on the board for them and led the way with 10 points.
Yeah, she told her kids, Amy did yesterday before they started their practice, we are a grateful program and we'll be grateful and thankful for everything that we've had this year. Enjoy this moment. And they go home as a 19 and 15 team, advance to the NCAA tournament. They go right back to work in recruiting. Always a fact in the Colonial. Just too much out of the Big 12 today from the Texas Longhorns. And Texas now will await the winner of Florida State and Alabama coming up at around 5:30 Eastern time on ESPN2. A game that I think will be one of those last 2 possession games. Both teams really athletic, kind of wired the same way. Christy Curry and Brooke Wyckoff, two of the better coaches out of the ACC and the SEC, getting ready to go out of here in about an hour.
And that does it. A convincing opening round win for the Texas Longhorns as they'll move on to the second round. Great effort overall from everyone that touched the floor for the Longhorns. Madison Booker, the career night she had, dishing out passes, 14 assists, most by a Texas player in NCAA tournament history. She got it done. She facilitated, ran this offense, and the Longhorns are moving on. Your thoughts, Jimmy?
Well, they're a machine offensively when they can get their post game going. Now, Shaylee Gonzalez today had a big game shooting the ball. That's a big thing, I think, for Texas as they try to advance through this bracket.